On brachot. Again, we're in Yaakov. We're in brachot, page 30b. What we're talking about here is a very interesting situation. At a wedding, is a famous custom to break the glass or something under the chuppah of the man. There's a lot of jokes with that. That is the last time a man puts his foot down, and so on and so forth. But bottom line is that we break a glass. Or, like I said, or it could be, it used to be a glass that we break. Now I think they use a light bulb because it makes more of a pop. But certainly they used to use glass. So the question is multi. First of all, why break a glass under the chuppah? It's not time to start breaking dishes. And more than that, if it's it usually was an expensive glass, but any glass. You could apply to anything. It's a waste of the glass, and we have a rule that you can't waste materials. Bal tashchit, I can't waste things. So if that's the case, why do we do it? This Gemara that we're about to look at is going to address that sort of an issue because it deals specifically with that, with breaking something. So it says. We'll start. It says, Abaye havayativ kamei de Rabba. So Abaye was sitting before Rabba. I'm sorry, not there. I was wrong where I put you. Go two more paragraphs down. Stan, two more paragraphs down. The last paragraph. Ma'abare de Ravina avad hilula b'rei. Here we go. So Mar, the son of Ravina, made a wedding feast for his son. Chazanhu l'Rabbanan da'ave kibad chetuva. He observed that the rabbis were excessively cheerful. So what does he do? Lo and behold, Ati Kisa Demokra, Bat Arba Ma'azuze. So he brought a precious glass cup worth 400 zuz. Udvara Kamaihu, and he broke it in their presence. Ve'itzaev V'iyad Sivu. And they were saddened. They were duly saddened. Here he broke something. So the question is, what's going on here? Let's immediately jump to there's a couple of things. The Maharsha goes through something, so let's see what he says. First of all, he says, Pirshu, the explanation is like this. It was Haremez, who was hinting, Shehu Kli Chashuv Ma'od, that we have a very expensive vessel here. V'ika yitzirato v'yashiyato me'afar. And how do you make glass? By using sand. That's how you're going to get glass. Ushrivato, and when you break it, zehu mitato. This is its death. If I break a glass, it's over. So ka ha'adam, so also the man. Note me'afa, we were formed from dust, sand. And when we die, we're going to go back to the dust. So what this cup is symbolic of, the Maharsha has explained to us, is since it's made from the same element that man is made from, just as when I break the cup, I'm symbolizing death, so also when I'm telling the person under the chuppah at their moment of the greatest joy, that death awaits them. And that's supposed to bring them back to a somber feeling. It's unlike what we do at the wedding today. Well, what we do is we have the guy steps on the glass and everybody else, Mazel Tov! And we start, the music goes, okay? We're missing the point. The point is that when we're breaking that glass, we're supposed to have that understanding that that glass is made from what we are made from. And just as that was broken and you cannot come back from that, so also what's looking ahead for us is death. For those who have been here on Shabbat and there's been a birthday, we always sing the Russian birthday song. You'll appreciate this, Dan. At least that's supposedly what it's called, when we say, Happy birthday, people dying everywhere, misery is in the air, happy birthday. And that's supposedly the Russian way they sing happy birthday to the kids. I don't know if it's true or not. But nonetheless, it brings home a point that people are dying everywhere. And so happy birthday. Things happen. So we're supposed to use the birthday for a way to do teshuvah. And that's what the Eitz Chaim, the Eitz Yosef says. He starts off with the same sort of thing that the Maharsha said, where he says that, I'll just read it, Remez hayasha adam dome bechol davar l'kol zechuchet shisara min ha'afa kamohu, that we're hinting that the man is just like this glass vessel that was formed from the dust. V'chi nishtabru yesh lo tekana, just as when it is broken, that's how you would fix it. Gama Adam ki nishaber al yedei pesha'av yeshel tekana b'tshuva. So also when a man sins, is broken through his sins, he also has a tekana, a way to fix himself, namely through repentance. V'gam she'en lehem shum tahara im nitma'u rak b'shvir. Also this clay vessel, this sand vessel, has no way to have tahara except through breaking it. It cannot become, if it becomes spiritually impure, it cannot become spiritually pure except through breaking it. Sheshiratan hi tahiratan, because when you break it, that is what makes it pure, because it's no longer a vessel. Getting very technical here, but since it's no longer a vessel, has no use, so now it goes back to the original, and you can reform it. You can take that same sand and so on and so forth, put it into the kiln, and make it another glass, and it's fine. And it cannot just become tahor by spiritually clean by putting it through a mikvah. You may, just like many other things that we have, wooden objects or other things that become tameh. So you go to the mikvah, you immerse them, and they become tahor. Well, the glass cannot. You can't do that with the glass or the clay. So then he says, "V'chach Adam." So also a man. Ein lo tahara im nitma ba'avonotav. That a man does not become tahor if he has sins, if he's become tameh with his sins, spiritually impure. Ein lo shum tahara rak shvir drucho. The only way that he's going to be able to attain spiritual purity is through breaking his spirit. An interesting situation. That a man with a broken heart and a feeling low, Hashem will not despise. Gam yesh lomar, and there's also to say, Sheremez kamoshe kli zechuchet, is to hint that just as this kli zechuchet, this glass, the shuhu kli chashuv, which is a very important glass, v'ika yitzarot v'yasiyato me'afar shvertuzuhu mitato, that its main form and making it is from the dust, also it's breaking it, that is his death. Kach Adam hu mivcha har yitzorim. So also man is the chosen of all of that which was created. V'not same'afar, and he was also created from, it was also formed from dust. V'omed lemita tamid, the yod afar, and is always standing, the person is always standing to death when he's going to become dust again. So just as this glass vessel has an ability to be fixed, so it can go back and become a new vessel. Kach Adam, also a man, imitav ma'asav, if he improves his actions, so then when the revival of the dead, when Mashiach comes, and we have the what do you call it? When you come back from the grave, revival of the dead. What do you call it? The
resurrection.
Resurrection. At the resurrection, liot chosev v'naseh Adam. So then he's going to come back, and he will make him to a man. V'hem iyatzvu al yomita. So then So he's going to be saddened by the day of death. V'gamal edam mitzvot u'masim tovim shbehem yizku l'tchiyat metim. And also through the joy of the mitzvot and ma'asim tovim, that's what's going to merit him to this resurrection. So by breaking the glass, think about that, just from two opinions alone, following the same principle, by breaking the glass at a moment of joy. I mean, what greater joy is there when you're under the chuppah looking at your beloved and knowing that you're going to have a life of happiness with this person you're marrying, hopefully. At least under the chuppah, you believe that. What's going to happen the day after, I have no idea. But that particular moment, you're at the happiest you are. So what happens is people are fooling around. They're acting. There's a lot of joy there. So what the rabbi did here, what Ma'abrei de Ravina did, was he broke the glass in order to bring it home to people that, hey, it's not good to be so joyous. We have to remember, because what's going to happen if we're too joyous is going to invite the Yetzer Hara that we have to really incite it to make us do something wrong. So that's what they're trying to avoid. And that's why he's saying, remember the day of death, as it were. So now when you hear the glass being broken at a wedding, it's not just to yell Mazel Tov, but indeed is to remember that moment of death, that we are like that vessel, and we will turn back to sand, and that we have to guard ourselves from our Yetzer Hara getting a hold of us. Okay, that's number one. And similar story broke out. You have Rav Ashi, Avad Hilul Lebrei. So Rav Ashi made a wedding feast for his son. Chazanu l'Rabbanan dahavu kai bad chetuva. He observed that the rabbis again were excessively cheerful. Ati kasa de zugita chivarta v'tavar kameyo. So he brought a cup of white glass and broke in their presence. V'yatzivu, and they were saddened. So again, that's sort of the same sort of principle. Now we come to the third one. So this is Amru le Rabbanan, the Rav Hamnuna. So the Rabbanan said to Rav Hamnuna, Zuti, V'hilula dema b'rei de Ravina. They said to him during the wedding feast of Mar, the son of Ravina, Lishrei lan Mar, let the master sing for us. What do you think about this? At a wedding, or at Sheva Brachas, or at a bris, somebody always says, "No, sing something." So we say, "Orebanim, Asim and Davam." Also, we sing a nice, beautiful song. We want to get the place going. So they say, "Let the master sing a song for us." Amrulahu, she said to them, "Vailan de mitnan," which means, "Woe to us, for we are destined to die. Woe to us, for we are destined to die." Well, that's a real killjoy, right? Wow. They're up there, they're having a good time, and woe for us, we're going to die. Amrulay, they said to him, Anan manane v'atrach, how are we to respond to you? What he wants is Amralehu. He answered, Hey Torah, hey mitzvah, de mangul alan. Where is the Torah that we have studied, and where are the mitzvot that we have performed that can protect us from the heavenly judgment? So that's what he told them. So here again, once again, we have the rabbis kicking in and saying what we should be doing. So what's going on there? So again, the Eitz Yov, before we get to the Eitz Yov, oh, here we go. The Hakotev writes like this. He said, what was the intent of Rav Hamnuna to sing before them? It was to sing before them a song, a shir katsar, sheish bo nigla v'nistar. It was to sing a song before them, a short song, that would have both a revealed purpose and a hidden purpose. Hanigla, what's the revealed purpose? He wanted to remind them that they should have a little sadness in their heart because they were acting too joyful. And again, what's going to happen is Yetzer Hara is going to run wild. And he didn't need to break an important a glass or something before them, just as the previous generations did, because he could have done that, right? Or the first ones did. Rather, he could use his mouth and his lips to reach to the same kavanah that they had. Because once he mentions the day of death, he was mevatel, he nullified their joy. I mean, think about it. Somebody's talking to you, even at the most happiest occasion of your life, and somebody says to you, "We're going to die." It does bring down the party atmosphere. Okay? It's not like you're going to sing something good. Ki af al pi shehem sameichem yom hachuppah, that even though they were happy in the day of the chuppah, the day of the wedding, liot achlitam, and because why are they happy, by the way, this is also important. Why are you happy at a wedding? What's going to happen? What's potentially going to happen? Why do people get married?
Hopefully a good relationship.
To what? To have what? A good relationship? What else? What's the main purpose of marriage?
Have a family.
Have a family. There you go. So the Yod Tachlitam, the Parot, wrote, because they were going to fulfill the mitzvah of Pruvu, to have children, the Kiyum Hamin, to maintain we'll call it genus. Yes. We'll call it the genus. Okay, to maintain the genus known as humans. That's really why we're getting married. We all have a mitzvah, and Jew and non-Jew alike have a mitzvah, pru or vu. There's not just a Jewish mitzvah. Everybody has the mitzvah of the commandment of maintaining the human race. So when we get married, that is the purpose of marriage, to have children. God forbid somebody can't have children. Fine, Hashem said no to you, but it's not. It doesn't mean that we can't. We shouldn't try. So that is, we all have a mitzvah, and as a result of that mitzvah to have children, it's not enough to have just boys. It's not enough to have just girls. In order to fulfill the mitzvah properly, we're supposed to have a boy and a girl, so that they can then go on and have more children. So for those who aren't able to, for those who only have boys or only have girls, you had children, but you didn't fulfill the mitzvah. More than that, the mitzvah goes even further, that if your boy and girl have to have a boy and a girl too. And in that way, that's when you fulfill the mitzvah totally. Until then, you have not. So that's why many people won't just have 2 kids, but they'll try to have as many as possible so that they can increase the odds of them fulfilling that mitzvah. You hear what I'm saying? It's an important thing to understand. If somebody doesn't. I mean, again, God is in control of everything ultimately. So if a person only has 2 kids, or 10, I know a person who has 8 boys and no girls. It's not that he didn't try, not like a trying. 8 boys, come on. And some people have 5 girls. Again, not for lack of trying. God said no. What can you do? So at that point, you deal with what you deal. So you didn't fulfill the mitzvah in the best possible way. And some people would say you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah and you have to keep trying. But even when you would have all these 8 kids, unless you had 4 and 4, just for argument's sake, so if those kids, if your boy and girl don't have a boy and a girl, you haven't fulfilled the mitzvah again. So the mitzvah is not so easy to fulfill. But it's that's why we're going to a wedding, though. We're going to a wedding because we have the opportunity here to potentially fulfill the mitzvah of pru or vu. And so as a result, and therefore it's fitting and it's an obligation for everybody this court Yom HaMitah to remember the day of death, because that's the end of all man. Because sha'alu mimenu. Now here the Kotev adds something very interesting to this statement. He says, Kashir sha'alu mimenu, anan ma nane batrach. Now when the rabbi said to who was singing here, it was Rav Hamnuna Zuti. When they said to him, what we answer after you, Pirush, this is the hidden part. He says, say to Devarav, the Amar Lehem, he gave them the hidden words. He said, you should say to them, a Torah, where is the Torah? L'rmos lehem ki ein adam boche al yom hamitah, to tell a person that they shouldn't cry about the day of the death, like it says that tzaddikim shoal them mita b'fiham, that the tzaddikim ask for death with their mouths. Vehem sasum usmeichem ba, and they are happy and rejoicing in it. Why? Kevan shebechayim higiu liknot kol shleimot efshir bechukam, because during their lifetime they had reached to acquire all of this completeness that was possible in their portions. So who doesn't want to cry for the day of death to a person who didn't try all his days to learn Torah and to fulfill the mitzvot? So that's the only person who's going to cry about the day of death. The other one's looking for the day of death. I did everything I could. It's like when somebody dies, the person, the survivor, will always say, "Oh, if I could have only said such and such to the person before they died." And somebody asked me when my parents died, "How do I feel that way?" I said, "No, I said everything I was going to say." It was only repetitive at that point. So you can always say, "I love you," but everything was said. There was nothing that there was left over. That's with mitzvot. If I fulfill all the mitzvot that I possibly can. There's some I cannot fulfill, there's some I can't. So for those that I can fulfill, if I know I've done the job and I know I've fulfilled it properly, I'm not afraid of death. It's only when I didn't fulfill it properly that I'm going to, or I didn't study properly, I didn't do as much as I could. At that point, it's no good. It's like when you come home on a test. I'm sure when you were marking tests, Bill, you had some kids who didn't always get the A's, correct? Good. So now one kid who tried his hardest, he got an 80. Now, for the rest of the world, the people might say, "Hey, yeah, he's only a B student." But for that kid who got the 80, he knows he tried the hardest he could. That's all he could get. So he goes to his parents and he tells his parents, "I got an 80. So the only question the parents should ask is, "Did you try your hardest?" "Yes, I'm proud of you." If you didn't try your hardest and you got 100, I'm not happy with you either. I had a Michigan teacher, I remember this. Crazy teacher. I got 90s. On 95, I had an A in my mark. And every time he would put down on my comment, "Doesn't try hard enough." And my father looked at the mark, he said, "I don't get this guy. How can you try harder than an A?" The teacher was saying that even though I was getting 95, I could have got to 100. I don't know if it's true or not. I think the guy was expecting a little too much. But that was his assessment of me. Well, I'm glad he had so much more faith in me then. But that is what he was saying. I should have got the A+. I shouldn't have got the A. And therefore I wasn't trying harder. But that's what we're looking at here. Just because I pull a 90, if you will, a 93, a 95 in God's scale, maybe I could have pulled 100. And if I could have pulled 100, now I have to be afraid of death. But if I did everything I possibly could do, and I tried my hardest, no matter what that is, and even if that's in the realm of scoring a 60 or a 50, well, that's what God gave me the capability to do. I shouldn't be upset with that. I did everything I possibly could. You understand what he's saying? That's what the goal is. If I know I've done everything that I could, if I'm a tzaddik in that way, that I've fulfilled my potential, then I look forward to the day of death because I know what I'm going to get. On the other hand, if I haven't fulfilled my potential, then I'm not looking forward to it. I'm crying about it. I need to really do some, we call it cheshbon nefesh, a counting of the soul. So he says, Biur zeh, and with this explanation, there are two languages in the Gemara. Torah, so if the Torah, which the Kavanah is to say, b'meitim chavshi, that the dead will be freed. Kevan shemeit adam na'aseh chavshi me'amitzvot, because what's happened is when a man dies, he becomes free of the mitzvot. Which means koach od lirdof achareihem. He no longer has the ability to pursue after them. Ki mi tarich be'erev Shabbat, as we have a saying that the one who works on Erev Shabbat, then yochal b'Shabbat, he'll eat on Shabbat. You understand the expression? If I put in my preparation for Shabbat, Erev, before Shabbat comes, in other words, on Friday, whatever I prepare for on Friday, I'll have something on Shabbos to eat. If I don't prepare on Shabbos, I expect it to come by its own. I'm going to starve that day. I think we also have that expression in English somewhere, but if I don't prepare, I'm lost. I have to prepare. So whatever the expression would be in English. V'ika da'amre, and there's also people, there's another way to look at it, is a Torah, a mitzvot. Where are the Torah, where's the mitzvot? The magni elan that protect us. K'fi perish Rashi, she'ikar b'chi. The main cry is on the day of death. V'hush al shalo asku b'torah mitzvot b'yotam b'chayim. And that's the person who, like I said, who did not delve into the Torah and did not do the mitzvot that they could during their lifetime. So therefore, nothing can save them from the judgment of Gehenna. But the righteous, they themselves ask for the death, because they have a lot of Torah and mitzvot in this world. So they know that they are going to live and attach themselves to Hashem. What better thing to desire? It's a very interesting concept that they're giving over. So when he was saying, woe to us, death is coming, and so on and so forth, woe to us, for we are destined to die, and then he would say, where is the Torah, where is the mitzvot that can protect us? He's saying, if you don't do them, then it's not good. And that's what you should be remembering when you're at these moments of joy. Nothing wrong with being nothing wrong with being joyful, but at the same time you can't be overjoyed, because that's going to incite the Yetzer Hara and all the other problems that we have, and it's going to possibly bring you away from doing what you should be doing. Everybody got that? So don't be too happy. Okay. So now, next.
It's important to know the source of your joy.
I'm sorry?
That we constantly learn that this isn't something you've accomplished to take this joy, that everything you need to be thankful to Hashem.
Right.
For bringing this union into your life.
Well, that's true. But again, if we have to do what we call the hishtadlus, we have to endeavor to do what we can. So that's my point. If we use our potential properly, then that's a joy that we get to live off of. But the problem is when we get, according to this philosophy, when we become too joyful, we become too involved in the simcha and the happiness, we may tend to sin. If we sin, that's what's going to take us out. You understand? It's that going, thinking I'm in control, or that I have a day off from this, whatever the case is going to be. So when I do that, I may talk incorrectly. I may look at somebody improperly. That's what the rabbis are trying to get us away from.
It goes together well with what we did last week, with the simcha of paying attention and discipline.
Correct. Yes. Well, it's following that same pattern.
But the two are
right.
Yes. One's A and one's B, but it's like this is another example of.
Correct.
Of that concept.
Yes, that's exactly what it is.
And knowing what true simcha is.
Mm-hmm. And that's why they're saying that true simcha, correct, is accepting the Torah. So one more, the Iyun Yaakov, again going on this breaking of the glass, he says, Efshar, this possibly is the intent of the Talmud. When it says that one who wants to destroy his money, which would mean that he wants to be sad, he wants to sadden himself, badach tuva, that so he wouldn't become too joyous. At that point, he can destroy his property and he can become sad. This is all part of, again, remember, there's a concept here that of bal tashchit. I can't waste things. So you would think that rule of I can't waste should always apply. So they're saying no. If I need something to bring me down a little, so that I won't have this excessive joy, which would cause me to sin, at that point I can do that. That's the first answer. Then the Parvi says, "Woe to us, for we are destined to die." He says, Amar kafil he says twice, woe for us, we're destined to die. Why? Neged mitad ba'olam hazeh, because one is corresponding to death in this world, and the other one is neged mita nitzchiyot li'olam haba, and one is death in the eternal world. Hide medakti b'tevat lan, that we can get if you're specific on the word lan, which dayinu mishum darminan, because we say v'hine tov ma'od was zehamavet. It was very good, this death. Al zenem ar al shnei alafim tohu azamavet hayutov shdayin lo yitan lehem Torah v'mitzvah. And that was talking about the 2,000 years of tohu, of desolation. That there was death. Death was better. Why? Because still the Torah and the mitzvah were not given l'tasek behem, to delve into the Torah and to do the mitzvah. But after the Torah was received, shenitan lanu letovatenu, and it was given to us for our good, li'ocherut mimalach hamavet, and that would free us from the angel of death. Ach mikoach hachet, and even from the power of sin. Ne'emar achein ka'adam tamutun shapir kai vulan b'dor haldu. That still it says that a person is going to die. Fine, woe to these generations. The mitna ki a Torah ki a mitzvah, because they don't have Torah and no mitzvah. The batlu mehen od meganu alan, because they are going to is bottled from it. It's nullified. It's stopped from them because they didn't have the Torah. So again, it's all the concept of we have to learn, not only learn Torah, but also have to work in Torah. Now the last part. Amar Rav Yochanan. So Rav Yochanan said, Mishum Rav Shema ben Yochai, Asur la'adam she'emalis chok ba'olam hazeh. It is forbidden to for a person to fill his mouth with laughter in this world. Why? Because it says in the verse, Az yemalek tzchok pinu shnei narina. Then will our mouth be filled with laughter and with glad song. Ematai, when is it appropriate to laugh heartily? Bisman sheyomru vagoyim higdil Hashem lasot emele. At the time that the nations, will declare Hashem has done greatly with these. So Amru Allah al Reish Lakish, they said of Reish Lakish, Shemimemav lo milei ischok piv ba'olam hazeh, that all of his days he did not fill his mouth with laughter in this world. Miki shama'a me Rabbi Yochanan Rabbi, from the time that he heard this dictum from Rabbi Yochanan, his teacher. We also have to remember that Rabbi Yochanan was his brother-in-law. Right? Brother-in-law? Because he married the sister. Yeah, he married the sister. Okay, so they bring down, where is it? What's his name? Archko brings this down. He says, the authorities debate the reason for Rav Yochanan's prohibition. Some understand it to be a form of mourning for the destruction of the temple. According to this view, the verse from Psalms teaches us that this prohibition will be rescinded when the temple will be rebuilt, and maintains that the prohibition. So the Shulchan Aruch, others maintain that the prohibition applied even when the temple stood. That is why Rav Yochanan speaks of Olam Hazeh, this world, rather than Mishacharav Beit Hamikdash, after the destruction of the temple. So he's saying always. The prohibition is due to the fear that unrestrained frivolity can lead one to be drawn after worldly pleasures and neglect the mitzvot. According to this view, the verse in Psalms teaches us that at the time of redemption, when God will perform wonders for us, laughter will serve as a medium for Persume Nisa, the publicizing Hashem's miracles. For through it we will proclaim to the nations our happiness in His salvation, and cause them to exclaim, Hashem has done greatly with these. Such rejoicing, which is performed for the sake of God, rather than our own pleasure, not only does not run the risk of leading one away from mitzvot, but is a mitzvah in and of itself. And Taz argues that the difference between these two, has practical implications. The bottom line is that when we're rejoicing, we're having fun, and we still always have to remember that there's an end to our time, and that we have to use our time. We have to use our time properly to do the mitzvot, to study Torah, and not to get too carried away with this world. That's really what the Gemara is trying to get across here. Okay. So now we go to another one. And for you guys in the Gemara here, it is... just see, Tan Rabbana. It's on the same page. And it's right here. I'll just show you right here, or if on page, I'll even give you better. It starts on 31A3 in your Ashra. Okay, 31A3.
Where is it? Okay.
You just look at the top. So it's 31A3. I think it's, you have it?
Yep.
It's the last, where it says the Gemara reverts to its discussion. At the very bottom. So it says, Tana Rabbanan, Hamapalel Sarah Sheichavin et Libo Shemayim. One who prays must direct his heart towards heaven. His thoughts. Okay, his heart, literally, and they want to translate his heart, his thoughts. Abba Shaul Omer, Abba Shaul said, similar davar, an indication to the correctness of this matter is the verse, Tachin libam, takshiv aznecha. Direct their heart, let your ear attend. If their hearts are directed to you, then your ear will attend to their pleas. Okay, so then what happens? So the Gemara refines the proper intent during the prayer by starting another teaching. It says, Tanya, Amar Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda said, Kach, Hayim en Hago shel Rabbi Akiva. This was a custom of Rabbi Akiva. Kishayim apalel emat tzibor, when he would daven with the congregation. Haya mekatzir va'ola, he would shorten his prayer and finish. He would be brief. Why? This is an important concept. Mipnei torach tzibor, because of the burden that would otherwise be placed upon the kehila, the congregation, if they would have to wait there for him to finish. So let's say, this is an important principle, halachically. If you have a person, you're in a minyan, and it's 10 people, literally 10 people, you're number 10. So really, I should not start the repetition of the Shemona Esrei until all of us are complete, all of us are finished. Now, you happen to like to have a long Shemona Esrei. You like to talk to God and stretch out for 20, 30 minutes. If you were at home, you would stretch for 20, 30 minutes. But in the minyan, you have to move a little because you're number 10. And we need you. If you're number 15, we don't need you. You can go as long as you want. But if you're number 10, we're waiting for you because you're an important personage in the congregation. You have an obligation, according to this, because of tircha de tzibora, because of burdening the congregation, to shorten your prayer, to make it go a little faster, so that we all who are not as hooked into prayer as you, if you will, can go to work or do what we have to do. We don't want, because otherwise people are going to start talking and worrying what's going to happen. Okay, that's tircha tzibora. And by the way, tircha tzibora has a lot of other practical purposes. When you have an aliyah and you call up to the Torah, you should go the shortest way up to the Torah, and then you take the longest way down. But the reason you're going the shortest way up is, besides cover the Torah, honoring the Torah, you also don't want to make the congregation wait. That's something else. When you're making Misha Berachs, you shouldn't have this long, extremely long list of people that you want to honor, unless you're really paying for that. And even there, it's just torture to the congregation to have to keep waiting for all these things. So whenever we are going to do something, we have to have in mind that the congregation is waiting, and if you don't want to make them wait too long, which is even why we have 2 Torahs many times. When we have, if it's Rosh Chodesh, and it's some other day, so we have 2 Torahs. Why not just roll 1 Torah to the Rosh Chodesh laning? The answer is because of this Tirchat Tzibara. We don't want to make the congregation wait. So rather bring 2 Torahs, lift one, put the other one down, so on and so forth. It's all because of this Tirchat Tzibara. So now Rabbi Akiva would run to finish. But let's say he would stay home for himself. Adam menicho bezavet zu. The man, a person would leave him standing in one corner, umotzu bezavet acheret, and then he would find him completing the prayer in another corner. Apparently he would, and why? V'kol kach lama, why was he propelled to that extent? Mipnei kuriyot v'yishtachavot, because of the bowings and the prostrations of which he engaged while praying. So the article explains that it involves lying, when it says prostrating, involves lying full length on the ground with his feet and the hand extended. To this, Rabbi Akiva needed to uproot his feet from the place which he had been standing. Rabbi Akiva's practice of bowing and prostrating himself frequently during Shemona Esrei appears to contradict the Gemara's rule below, that one is only to bow at 4 specific points, and that one who desires to bow at the end of each of the blessings is to be taught not to do so. Moreover, it's forbidden to move out of one's place during Shemona Esrei. Many Rishonim therefore explain that Rabbi Akiva's ambulation took place during the additional supplications he would recite after Sim Shalom. But bottom line is, Rabbi Akiva would take a very long time, and he would be also very mobile. We'll have to stop here, but it's an interesting concept in that we have to worry about Tirchat Tzibara. That's number one, and we'll start dealing with this next week, God willing. Okay. Right.